this kind of bubbled up yesterday at a time when there's been this momentum pushing toward Sean Payton's going to stay at Fox for another year. There isn't going to be a spot for him. I've heard that the general managers who are in place with these teams are concerned about losing their authority, being undermined by a guy who's coming in and taking over, and he wants a lot of money, and the Saints want draft picks. So in the midst of all that, Mark Maskey of the Washington Post reports that there was some sort of an issue, some sort of a concern that Payton had. And there's the tweet. There was an issue with Payton's interview with the Broncos. Payton likes the idea of coaching Russell Wilson and having that defense, but fears a potential power struggle with a member of the ownership group, source says. Payton responded by saying, "Zero truth to this. We had a great visit, and Broncos ownership was fantastic." It was just such a weird curveball from Maskey. Peter, you and I know what Maskey's beat usually is. This seemed like something that why would he even know? How would he even know? What, Payton wouldn't be leaking this. Where's this even coming from? Didn't that strike you as odd when this turd just dropped into the punch bowl out of nowhere?
Yeah, look, Mike, I don't really cover this stuff much anymore, so I don't dig down very deep. But I happened to have a conversation with Sean Payton after he talked to the Broncos. And I basically asked him, and I said, look, I said, let's just talk off the record. So I can't really characterize, what the discussion was, other than to say, I got the very strong impression that he really liked those people. He liked Greg Penner and Condoleezza Rice and George Payton. I didn't hear anything negative like that. So I can't, that's all I can say. Maybe he's telling me one thing, telling somebody else something else. I don't know. I kind of doubt it, but I don't know that. But all I'm saying is that that tweet did surprise me, because I had talked to him, and look, I have a lot of respect for Mark Maskey, but it's not anything that I knew. But I have to emphasize, I'm not covering this on a granular basis at all. So I don't know where that comes from. I just know that surprised me.
I'm going to make 3 points as quickly and briefly as I can. Number one, Payton's overall interests benefit in no way, shape, or form from him being the person saying these things. You keep that to yourself because you want to have maximum options. You don't want to scare the Broncos away by putting out there that you've got concerns about a power struggle with a member of ownership. Second, guess who wins a power struggle between an owner and a coach? I wonder who, the person who owns the team or the person who works for the team. So it didn't make sense to me that you'd be concerned. It's a power struggle. There is no power struggle. It's rock, paper, scissors, and the owner always wins. Third, Peter, and this is the kind of area where I get myself into trouble from time to time, but it hasn't stopped me in 21 years with other reporters and our colleagues in the industry, and they don't like me because I'll say these things. Maskey's beat is not the Broncos. Maskey's beat is the Commanders and league issues. And you said something earlier that ties back together. Sean Payton is persona non grata at 345 Park Avenue. And I know I'm not supposed to guess on whose people's sources are. But when you got a guy who's constantly reporting on league matters, all of a sudden, with this thing that takes a flamethrower to Sean Payton's chances in Denver at a time when we know the league would just as soon him not be the belle of the ball, kind of makes me wonder where Maskey may have gotten that one from. Maybe a 212 area code.
Can I just say one other thing? And I know we don't want to, go over this and whatever. I mean, we can go over whatever we want. But my point is that I thought going into this whole process that there were 2 jobs that really fit Sean Payton well. One was Denver, because Russell Wilson wants someone he can really respect as a coach and wants somebody who can help turn him around. And I think he would be willing, because I think Sean Payton, this is just my gut feeling, I think he would take away a lot of the bells and whistles that separated Russell Wilson from the average Joe on the Denver Broncos. Okay. And I do think that Wilson would have been okay with it. I also think that obviously we know this, Mike. There's approximately 5 coaches in the NFL who make $15 million or more per year. Okay. So it's going to take, one of the reasons why when I look at Sean Payton in Arizona, I said, is Michael Bidwill really going to pay a coach, owing his old coach all the while? Is he really going to pay a head coach in that league? I have my doubts. But I will say that to me, that isn't going to be a problem if Denver likes Sean Payton. That's not going to be a problem. And apparently they're not going to hire him from what has been reported since last night. But the other team, honestly, was Houston. Because, and for one very simple reason, that they have the second pick in the draft. They can turn to Sean Payton and say, pick any quarterback you want and invent greatness right here. Here's your opportunity. We'll give you whatever, a 6-year whatever it is. And then after having one coach each of the last 2 years, Payton is going to look for all of the insurance that he can, that he's not going to be 1 or 2 and done in Houston. So those are the 2 places that to me make the most sense. I have no idea if he's going to get one of these 2. It's starting to look like he's not going to, but let's see what happens.
And Houston would be great because it would be like New Orleans 2.0. You go into a team that has no legacy of winning. They've got a smattering of playoff appearances, but obviously nothing even seriously close to a Super Bowl. Peyton could go in there and become basically a guy where you've got 2 cities that love you forever, not one, if you could turn around the tech. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.